I'm from Newark, New Jersey. Pretty much all over New Jersey. Don't have like one specific area.
What were the two places that you kind of...
Oh, Newark and Willingboro.
What was it like growing up in both of those places?
Newark, it was like night and day. It was like Newark was the city, you know, hustle and bustle, and then Willingboro was just like a laid-back suburb, you know. It's like Newark is loud, Willingboro is quiet.
Are the people there any different? Like people you're friends with, or just people in general?
I mean, no, not really, because people from the city move to the suburbs, you know. So,
Yeah,
same people, you know.
Yeah.
It's just the environment was different. That was about it. In Newark, I was in essentially South Ward, which is where I stayed in South Ward. Like Newark is broken up into wards, you know, the South Ward, Central Ward, East, you know. So South Ward is just the southernmost ward, southernmost section of Newark. It, you know, it's like a district pretty much.
There he is, man of the hour.
You know, make it simple as well.
And so what are we going to look for, Matt?
We are going to look for the aurora that's supposedly going to be seen from here. So we're going to go to High Mountain West, near the water tower. Try to see if we can see it at that point. I was born in Newark, New Jersey, but I was raised most of my life in Hopatcong, New Jersey. Well, I split my time between there because my parents were divorced. My dad lived in Newark and my mom lived in Hopatcong. Hopatcong was, I think, any generic suburban place that you can grow up in, you know? It wasn't bad. I mean, everybody has their rough moments or whatever, but it was, for the most part, it was a pretty standard upbringing. As for Newark, it was something different. You know, the dichotomy of the two just made for an interesting experience.
I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Green Bay and Wisconsin, it's very, I guess it's very calm in comparison to like New Jersey, but it's funny, the things in Green Bay and in Wisconsin, everything and everyone is very, I hate to say nice, because that sounds like I'm implying that people here are rude, but it's, yeah, everyone is just very caring, and just things like when you live out in the Midwest, things are just so much slower. So I lived in downtown, basically downtown, the west side of Green Bay, which is pretty awesome. It's pretty rural, meaning that it's pretty much just a hop, skip, and a jump to my grandparents, to all of my friends. I think about 10 of my best friends, we all lived within like a mile radius of each other. So every single weekend we would go to my friend Kylie's house and we would all watch movies. But it's like, it wasn't even like oh, our parents have to drive us there. It was like, I'm gonna take my bike and I'm gonna ride my bike there, because it was only like a 10-minute ride or whatever, you know. So that was yeah, that's the coolest part, is that everybody is so close to each other, and you're constantly like making friends because it's such a dense city and there's so many people there in the city. Now obviously I live a little bit on the outskirts, so it's a little bit like more farm town-ish,
Yeah.
which is it's much different. Now it's like 10 miles between me and like my friends. So now it's a lot more like the stereotypical, like, oh yeah, you guys just, you just milk cows and, eat a bunch of cheese. And now that's basically what I do, so.
Alright.
Oh shit. Hit the red bar. Damn. Fuck. I'm not going up there without no trees. I'm gonna smoke when we get up there. We in the apartments. What?
That was good. Look at
What is that?
this. It's a chocolate chip.
Oreo fudge brownie bar. That's a lot of fucking like
Chocolate.
stuff.
Chocolate's always good.
I like chocolate. I love chocolate. Chocolate's the best. My family life was always, I always took family like really important. I live with my dad in South Jersey, well, in Newark and South Jersey, but we're originally from North, from Newark, and moved to South Jersey, moved to Willingboro when I was like starting high school, and so I mean, I would still see my mom, but it would be like, not as much as I didn't spend as much time with my mom I did with my dad, but his family was always like, a big thing. My mom's side is like really big, a lot of cousins and stuff like that. So it was always, it's always been,
So kind of like a super tight.
I'm like really family oriented, Since I've been up at school, I've spent more time up here than I spent in Willingboro, It's closer, I got more family up here. Because when I was moved from Newark to Willingboro, I left all my family up here, friends. So now, since I'm up here, I just spend more time up here.
Has that changed like relationships at all? As far
No.
as it's just been like.
Yeah, I think it's made them better.
My parents split when I was 2, I want to say. So I don't remember the divorce or whatever. As far as I could always remember, they were always split up, but they carried on a very antagonistic love-hate relationship that pretty much dominated my entire life. Even now, it still continues. Just now that I'm older, I'm away from it more than I was when I was a kid. There was no need to feel like I was in the middle. I was in the middle. Maybe their best intentions were they didn't want that, but eventually when, you're playing in the mud with each other and you're dragging each other through the mud, you're going to draw lines in there, and if you do something one parent doesn't like, you're siding with the other one. If you do something the other parent doesn't like, you're siding with that one, and it's just a no-win situation. A lot of the things that were a result of what they did and said I still carry with me, and it probably has a large effect on my personality.
When I was 4, my parents got a divorce and split up. So basically from the time that I was like 4 until I was about 12, I did the like split time, like a week at my dad's, a week at my mom's, and and just kind of bounce back and forth. When I was with my mom, it was very structured. Like I would basically like, I'd either be at school or at home. Like it was, and then I'd hang out with friends and stuff. But when I was with my dad, it was a lot different because my dad works construction, so he travels a lot. So I hate to say that my dad like wasn't like, it's not that he wasn't like around, but like basically in the morning he would drop me off at my grandparents' house at like 4 o'clock in the morning. They would bring me to school and they pick me up from school, and then my dad would pick me up around like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So like, there would be weeks that would go by where it's like I was always at my mom's because my dad would be out of town for 3 weeks. And that changed when I got a little bit older. He started to work or request working a lot closer to home because he realized that it was kind of like upsetting, obviously. So that was a little bit tough considering all of my friends have very like the the idea of what a typical American household is like, with like, you know, they got like the mother and the father and the brother and the sister, and they all get along, and it's one big happy family. And you know, coming from a family that's split up and parents who really don't get along like at all, it was very hard for a long time. And then when I started to get older, I realized that it was obviously for the best that they weren't together, because they just bicker and, you know, they argue, and it's better for them to be apart. But growing up, you know, with with a brother and a sister on my mom's side, and then it's like I was the oldest, the role model at my mom's, and then when I was with my dad, I was like a single child. So it was kind of, I don't want to say like best of both worlds, but I kind of got to see what it was like. Half my life was one way and half my life was another way. So it's, but it was good. That's part of what made me, that's why I am who I am right now. So my grandmother is probably the most, other than my mom, she's like the most, or she was the most important woman in my life, as far as just like, she's the most caring person I've ever met in my entire life, probably ever will meet. And she passed away in 2005, so about 10 years ago. And that was probably the hardest thing that I've ever like dealt with.
I guess I met Eric first. It was during my first semester. I had become friends with his roommate at the time, Thomas. And I remember, first time I ever met him, we went to him and Thomas's room on the 4th floor of matelSONS. And I was with my roommate Damon and Brett, our friend, and Thomas was there, and Eric had walked in, and we got introduced or whatever, but it wasn't really until the flood that happened at matelSONS that, and we got displaced and everything, that we actually got to know each other and, you know, chop the shit. And even then, I wasn't really that close with Eric because he was always going home that first semester. But the second semester, he didn't have a car, so he was always hanging out. And that's when we really became close and, you know, chopped it all up. I remember being in my room partying with Aunt, Trav, and a few other people. We were drinking beers. Travis walks out, he walks back in, and you're there. And he says, "This is Pete, he's gonna drink with us." And I was like, okay. And at first I didn't really know what to make of you, Pete. You were very quiet. But as you started coming around more and more, and we started getting to talking or whatever, it, you know, I don't even know how it happened. We just clicked really fast, and that was it, man. You know, and we just ended up having like fun freaking times. One of the things that first drew us all together, like you said, is that we were transfer students. You know, we weren't your traditional type of students. Everybody was a lot older than your traditional type of student. Plus, at the time that we all started, you know, everybody's just trying to make friends because nobody wants to feel alone here, especially when they're away from their family. And despite having very different different upbringings, we all have a lot of similarities in terms of things that have gone on in our lives, maybe to different effects and to differing results, but we all had similar-ish experiences, and we all have a similar kind of attitude in certain ways that just made it very easy for all of us to click. To be honest, I think it's the things that sometimes we don't talk about, or the things that affect us in certain ways that we may or may not know of, that have kept us together, you know? One of us could act a certain way, or be, you know, stay quiet in a certain way, and for some reason we'll understand. Not maybe so much really understand, but on a deeper level, like a more subconscious level, it's an understanding, and I guess through that brings a comfort to be able to show that in front of people you care about. It's kind of hard because obviously we're at a part in our roads where they intersect and we're traveling on the same road, but at a certain point everybody's going to go in their own different directions, and yeah, there will be times where we meet up maybe once, twice, 4 times in a year. It's not going to be like it once was, and it never will be. We'll only have memories of that. But it really depends on the people, you know. But just because we may not be as close as we once were, or we may not even see each other, or that friendship may not even continue, doesn't mean those people didn't play a significant part in your life.
Right.
You know? I don't know.